Hey everybody, Tom here, and we're going to go ahead and teach you how to set up Starship Samurai, a game that mixes stars and samurais and ships. So here we go. First thing we're going to see when we open the box is we've got our rule book here, and then we've got a couple of different kinds of boards going on. So our first board here, I think this is called the colony board, or I don't know, it has some fancy name. We're going to need this out and kind of in a central area. You're going to want everyone to have access to that. And then what we've got right here are some player boards, and you can see that they are distinguished by color here. I'm going to be doing a two-player game, so we'll be playing with red and blue as per usual, and the other ones can just go back into the box. And then we have a couple other things, some things that I've added on my own. So, for example, these are like money, essentially. I can't remember exactly. They're some kind of a token. Looking it up really fast. Wealth token, yeah. So we got money. This is not included in the game, this container. This is just a geek box that I got online. And so just be aware that you probably might be keeping that in a bag somewhere. Next thing we have is a whole bag of all these different samurais. Let's just keep this to the side for right now. I have a deck of cards. This container doesn't come with the game, and that's just something that I use to keep them safe and protected. So we'll go ahead and take out these cards for a second, and then we will come back to those. And then what we have are a bunch of different planets. Now these are basically indistinguishable. They just have different numbers on them, and you're going to want boards equal to the number of players. So where I'm setting up a two-player game, I'm going to use 1 and 2. And then if you're using 3 players, 3, 4 players, 4. The rest of them can come back in the box. Here, I've got red and blue player pieces. I'll show you what's in these bags in just a second so you can make sure you get all your pieces. But I'm just going to pull those out, and black and green will just stay in the bag, or in the box. And then I have this small bag of small tokens. More on that in a second. And then we have a bunch of, these are called location cards, and more on that in a second. But these are all of the things that we need out of the box for our particular game. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the box at this point. And let's go ahead and set up things kind of one at a time. I want to start up here. So this is not the colonies board like I call it. This is the alliance board, and we're going to need these tokens for it, kind of. This big token here is like the first player token, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that to the side. But other than that, you have a whole bunch of these small tokens, and these represent different colonies that you can ally yourself with. And so what you're going to do is down here, you can see this is like the neutral space of the board. You can see all of the different icon. So if you really wanted to, you could spend time matching this icon right here, but you truly don't have to. You can just go ahead and throw these icons down here. And I will say that there is like flavor text for each of these kind of different colonies in the rulebook, and so you're welcome to obviously look that up and learn more about these colonies you're going to try to influence. And that is literally all there is to do with this board. And then, like I said, you just want to keep it close by so everybody has access to it. There is one more thing we will do. This is the score track around the outside edge. So when we get our score markers from our individual player bags, I'll be putting them here. Now down here we have to kind of set up our planets. In this game we're going to be like fighting for these different planets. I'm not sure if this is the exact orientation I'll have for the video, but it's a good start for now. And what we need to do is we need to take out these location cards. So the idea is that these boards kind of are generic planets, and we get more specific by adding these locations onto these planets, kind of a thing. So this is kind of a weird, kind of a quirky thing, but as you're looking at these cards, on the bottom corner, some of these cards have 2 stars. Some of them have 3 stars, and some of them don't have anything. So you kind of want to more or less have these sorted into those 3 piles for a second. So again, 2, 3, and 0. Now what's going to happen is in a 2-player game, you take out all of the 2s. And that's just usually weird because almost always what I've seen in the past is in a 4-player game, you take out the 4s. Like you take out the higher player count cards. This is opposite from that. So in a 2-player game, you're going to take out the 2s. In a 3-player game, you're going to take out the 2s and the 3s, shuffle them up, pick one of those cards to bring back into the game. So again, a 2-player game, take these out, and that's what we're going to be doing, shuffling these up. In a 3-player game, take these 2 and 3 stars, mix them up, and then you pick one randomly to mix in with the neutral ones. And in a 4-player game, everything is just shuffled together. But we're doing a 2-player game, so I'm going to take out the 4 2-star ones. Here's our 3-star ones, and let's go ahead and just get these kind of shuffled up. We mix it up as good as we can. And this is going to kind of be our game timer, and it's going to help us round to round. And I think that's why it's a little bit goofy with what cards come out and stay in, and they have to make sure that the number of cards is right for the game. Okay, so once we have these shuffled up, we're going to just go ahead and deal 1 to each of these planets, and then I'm going to keep this deck of cards up here just next to the alliance board, because there's good space over there. So now we've got these different ones. It just turns out, probably because of my terrible shuffling, these both have 3 stars, but it is what it is. Next up, we've got to go ahead and get our player play area set up. I think I'm going to put blue on the bottom and red on top, like that. And what I will often do, if this is the first video you've seen from my channel, is I kind of use some colored papers underneath just to really emphasize the player colors. So I'm going to do that, and let's go ahead and start by setting up blue. So, as I said, I kind of already have all of the blue player pieces sorted, and so you can see, in case yours isn't sorted, what I've got going on here. So, each player is going to have one of these big carrier ships, and they're going to have 4 of these tokens, numbered 1 through 4. These just need to come out to the side like this, and if I was a good person, I would, oh, there we go. I am a good person. I put them in order. And then they're going to have, oh, what is it, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no, 8. They have 8 of these fighter ships. And these are all just going to come down here in the supply. They also have their own player token, and we need to put this up. This is the score token. We need to put this up on the alliance board. And then we're going to need a couple of cards. So I have the whole deck of cards here. And usually the way that I store this is I kind of store these, this is almost like 2 different decks that I kind of put face to face like this. And so most of these cards are going to be these kind of like action cards. So let's talk about these in just a second. But in terms of setup, there are a couple of different kinds of cards that you're going to need. So this is kind of what makes my first deck of cards, is I call this the setup deck. And you can kind of tell most of them from their different backs. Like most of these backs look like this. And these backs are a little bit different with the exception of these, but I don't want to confuse you too much. Essentially, every single player needs to start off with an elite general, and so there are 4 of these cards in the game, and so I'm just going to also hand one to the red player really fast. There are 4 of these, and so we only need 2 of them. The rest are going to go back in the box. They also need a change strategy card. Oops, these aren't actually going to go there. And I'll hand one to the red player, and the other 2 are going to go back in the box. And then these are the ones that had the backing like the other backings. But and then we have our carrier ships. So these cards have a back that looks like this. Each player is going to need one of those. And then the other 2 go back in the box. Each player is going to need a fighter ship card. And then the other 2 are going to go back in the box. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is all right, so usually each player gets to this point, and then what you do is you have a draft to set up the different samurai. So here's what those backs look like. There are 8 different samurais, and every player is going to have 2. So in a traditional game, what you're going to do is the starting player is going to take all 8 samurai in their hand. They're going to pick one that they want, hand the deck to the second player. They're going to pick the one that they want and keep passing around until the last player. And then the last player gets to pick a second samurai, and you go backwards around the table and end up with the first player. I maybe can and should do that. I usually hate drafting things on this channel just because I feel silly doing it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to just draw 2 samurais at random, and we'll just take the cards where they are. And then we're going to do the same for the red player. So the red player is going to get 2 samurais. The other 4 samurais, for this 2-player game, those are just going to go back in the box. Okay, and so really quickly, let's just take a look at which samurais we've got here. Okay, we have Motonada and Shingen for the blue player. All right, so once all of the players have their samurai cards and they put them right here, then they need to find those miniatures. Now, The first time that I played this, I had a really hard time kind of figuring out which person was which fighter and stuff like that. And so I actually went through with a permanent marker, and I did two things to help myself out. This was happening throughout the game. First of all, I just had started by labeling the bottom, thinking that would be enough. But then I realized that it was still kind of tricky to distinguish who was who, and so I went ahead and just wrote their names on the top, as well as their power number. So this might make some people squeamish to have these things written out there, but it really made gameplay a lot simpler for me. So for this guy, I need Shinjin and Motada. Oh, there's Motada right there, so I'm going to just go ahead and put him here for now. And then there's this guy. So if you don't have these things written, you can just do your best to see the picture and figure out from the picture who it is. And again, that's great for figuring things out. Most people are probably smarter than I am. I just found it a lot easier to have the names written on there for that. The next thing I'm going to add to the game that doesn't come with the game is, for the gameplay and especially for the video, kind of similar to how I have this paper, I'm going to go ahead and put these colored papers. I just cut out a circle and threw some tape on there. And I'm going to go ahead and label this as the Blue Samurai. And this one is also a Blue Samurai. So again, these are just things I'm adding. I really, really wish that Plaid Hat had considered getting plastic rings to distinguish, but this will make things a lot easier in our gameplay video. So up here, let's get the red player set up. So I've got this deck of cards. We'll come back to that in a second. Slide these into place. Oh dear. So remember, we've got our player board, the Elite General, and the Change Strategy. These have these backs. These are going to be our hand, our starting hand of cards. Here's our two samurais. We're starting with Masumuni, and Gozen. And then we've got our fighter ship and our carrier ship. It does not matter which of these ships you put in which spot. They just go right there. Okay? And then this is our starting hand. We've got all of our bits here. Okay? Oh, this is our starting player token. I'm going to hand that to the blue player. And then we've got our carrier ship. We've got our numbers. We've got our 8 fighter ships. They go right here. We've got our score tracker. And then it looks like I'm looking for Gozen and Masumuni. Okay, so not that one. Not that, oh, you can't even see. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Apparently it's the last two. Okay, so we have our 2 samurais for the red player. All of the other samurais go back into the box. And I've got some red papers to help me out with that part as well. So we'll go ahead and just stick this on like that. Okay, cool. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to take these cards and shuffle them and put them by the board. And we'll keep these close to the board as well. So let's go ahead and we'll just shuffle these like regular. I know sometimes this gives people a panic attack when I shuffle like this. As I've said, I don't play games consistently. Like I play so many, I don't know, I'm the cult of the new, right? So I'm playing lots of new games. I don't replay games a ton to where I really have to, it doesn't matter. Why am I justifying myself? I don't need to. Okay, here we go. We got these shuffled, and we already have our starting hand. Everybody starts with the same 2 cards. Cut it once, and so we'll just have our draw pile and then our discard pile down here. Alright, so there we have it. We are set up, ready to go to play Starship Samurai. If you would like to see how this game is played, go ahead and click on the link in the description of this video. And in that video, I will be teaching the rules as we are playing so that you can hopefully get a pretty good feel for how this game is played. So go ahead and click on that link down there. I'm also going to be doing teaching tips for this video. I will include that link down there as well in case you are charged with the responsibility to teach this game and maybe want some tips on how to do it better, or well, anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in those other videos. Bye!